We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they can send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck. No. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off his fucking neck! Let me shoot you! He can't fucking breathe! So let me shoot you! We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck. No. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more.
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned.
If it's Thursday, gobble gobble bitches. Next week is Thanksgiving. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, I've got a glorious panel here with me to break down all the shit and the shit announcements, all the fun stuff, words. It's Thursday. It's been a long day. We're here to talk about all the fun shit. Before we get into all fun shit, first and foremost, gentlemen, how you two doing over there?
Another lovely day in paradise. One day closer to the weekend.
I kind of feel the same way, but at the same time, my week starts during the weekend in terms of work. So, like, my work week just started, is what it is. Hopefully, we get some good fights this weekend. Got some rain going on in the background, too.
Yeah, it's storming its ass off here as well, and there's another round heading right for us. So hopefully everything holds out long enough for us to finish this shit up. Excuse me. That being said, we are going to dive right into it here. So we are going to go ahead and kick things off the way that we'd like to, with a little bit of news and recent events, fight announcements, fight cancellations, official rumors, confirmed or denied, things of that nature, relevant facts in the combat sports world that we feel you fine folks need to know about. This week we actually do unfortunately have to start by diving back into last week because there were a couple things that happened last week that have to be talked about here real quick. The first one, if you still somehow have not seen it, I don't know what rock you were living underneath, but there was a gigantic fucking brawl in the crowd of UFC 322 last week, and there were several videos flying around throughout the week, none of them very clear about who all was involved. At one point, you could see Dylan Dennis being handled and talked to by a UFC security member, and then several other people running in and out of the fray during the fucking craziness. Come to find out, the highlights of that video were not all that was said and done. It was involving Dylan Dennis, but apparently he had talked some shit to Team Makachev, and Team Makachev came right the fuck after him. And after Dennis had been separated by security, members of Team Makachev kept coming up and trying to continue the fight with him. So in response to that, Dana White has officially barred Dylan Dennis from UFC events for life. No punishment for any members of Team Makachev, but Dylan Dennis is now officially barred from UFC events for the rest of his life. Typical Dana punishment to a situation that one of his people caused. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't think it's going to have a big impact on Dylan Dennis's future. He's only been to, I'd say, 4 UFC events in the last year or two, so it's not like he's in every one. It's not like he's sitting next to Theo Vaughn waiting for early prelims to kick off, but he's now no longer allowed persona non grata. On the opposite side of that coin, though, one person did give a statement last week that kind of surprised a couple people, but it didn't really surprise a whole lot of people. Joanna Jacek was doing an interview last week and said that she had, going into the Weili rematch, said, if I get another hematoma like that, if I get knocked out, if I lose in a definitive way, I'm going to hang him up. That's all there is to it. And then Weili knocked her out fucking cold with the spinning elbow heard round the fucking world, and Joanna, true to her word, retired on that night. Well, she has made it very clear that she is enjoying retirement and has no plans to come back to MMA, with one big exception, that being the only fight she said she would willingly get back into the testing pool and unretire for would be a female BMF battle against either Kayla Harrison or Amanda Nunes. I don't think either one of those fights would go very well for Joanna in her prime, let alone now, you know, an extended period of time away from fighting altogether. I don't think that would go as well for her now as it might have if they had done it when it would have possibly still been relevant of a thing, when they had, you know, 4 different divisions for women at a time, something like that. But that ship has sailed, and I don't see Joanna coming out of retirement because I don't see a women's BMF belt being put on the line anytime soon. And if they did, pretty much any gal that would be eligible for it in reality would probably dog walk Joanna at this point. So a dream unfulfilled is what it looks like it's going to stay at this point. That being said, now we jump back into this week because we've already got some news for this week here. The first one, we found out yesterday afternoon that Sergey Spivak is officially out of his fight this weekend with Shamil Gaziev. But the UFC made a last notice announcement today that Waldo Acosta-Cortez will be stepping in on Saturday to take on Shamil Gaziev so that Shamil can stay on the card. Waldo Acosta-Cortez was also in talks to take on one of the other heavyweight fights that slipped through the fingers a couple weeks ago with the Tapa brother. That obviously did not end up going, but he was clearly still ready, so the UFC is bringing him in on this one. The other one, they have started weigh-ins because they are on the other side of the planet, so it is Friday afternoon, evening over in Qatar right now, and they have begun the weigh-ins. And as of 25 minutes ago, confirmed via all Russian video, so I couldn't translate for you myself what they were actually saying. But the one thing that could be heard crystal clear and perfect English throughout that video was as Arman Sarukian stepped on the scale and the official yelled out very precisely 159. Now, that being said, he still has 4.5 hours, I believe, left to make weight, little over 4.5 hours right now, just shy of 5 hours left to go back, cut those extra couple pounds, and make weight. But considering the last time we saw him out, he missed weight, and the last time he was supposed to go out and fight, he ended up pulling out due to injury, I say with air quotes, with that air quote injury allegedly being a lack of ability to cut weight after trying to impress Nina Drama. If he misses weight for this fight, it doesn't really matter if he wins it or how he wins it. He has already officially shot himself in the foot so hard that he would essentially be fighting for nothing, because after the weight miss and then the pullout were a title fight, and then now potentially another weight miss to follow that, not only is Arman never getting another title shot, this might be the last time we see Arman. They have cut other fighters of higher nobility for missing weight less times than Arman Sarukian has at this point if he can't get his shit together in the next 4.5 hours. I kind of hope that he does, even if it fucking kills him and he shows up a goddamn skeleton. I think Dan Hooker is on the track to getting a title shot, but if he beats a missed weight Arman Sarukian and it doesn't look good, it's not really going to do a whole lot for him. It's still going to be all the negative for Arman, but it won't have any benefit for Dan Hooker, who seems like was ready to show up on weight and ready to do work Saturday. We'll obviously find out a little bit more about that in the next couple hours as they finish the weigh-ins over on the other side of the planet, but just a little interesting tidbit that is already out there and confirmed that Arman, as of now, beginning weigh-in period, showed up at 159 pounds for his 155-pound fight. He can weigh no more than 156 even to keep from getting fined and technically missing weight. So we'll see if he can do that in the next couple hours. Over on the other side of things, in terms of the New Year's Eve Ryzen card that I was talking about just a couple of weeks ago, we have already got confirmation this week that unfortunately Ryan Bader is out of his heavyweight title fight debut. He has apparently gotten himself a pretty severe injury in training and is going to require surgery and then 6 months of physical rehab. So he didn't give specifics on exactly what he did to injure himself, but anything that takes 6 months of rehab after surgery is genuinely pretty serious. And Ryan Bader is no spring chicken. So it's not like he's got plenty of time to sit on the sidelines, heal up, and then get back when he's ready to it. He is absolutely sitting on the green of 18, eyeballing the fucking clubhouse from where he is in his career. And if he don't play his next couple of fucking putts right, it's going to be a real sad ending to his career. We'll see how it plays out. But as of right now, he is officially out of the New Year's Eve show and waiting to undergo surgery and then the next 6 months of physical rehab to try and get him back to where he's supposed to be. That being said, back on the UFC side of things, we have got a couple of interesting pieces here. Actually, before we get to that, one more that I missed. Sorry about that. Over on the Glory Kickboxing side of things, for the first time in 12 years, there is a vacant heavyweight belt. And that is because Rico Verhoeven has officially vacated the heavyweight belt that he has held for the last 12 years consecutively. Now, it's a very interesting situation here because Rico also confirmed that he is not retiring. This is not the end of his career. He just has other things in mind, I say with air quotes, and isn't the belt itself is not one of them that he is working towards right now. So for a guy who has held the belt for over a decade, it is going to be very interesting to see what his next moves are. Now back to the UFC side of things to round things out. First and foremost, we got confirmation directly from the horse's mouth this week. Kaya Kara France has announced that he will officially be stepping away from fighting for at least 1 year. He has got some personal things going on in his life, and he cannot get those resolved while also still concentrating on fighting, and has decided that it is not fair to the things in his life that he is trying to accomplish to put them on the back burner for fighting, so he is going to do that the other way around for right now. He's stepping away from fighting for at least a year. Then he's going to reevaluate if he is ready or if he is going to come back. So obviously, we hope this is not retirement, but if it is, this would again be one of those situations where I have to tip my cap because a fighter has decided that it is better for them to step away while they are the ones who are making that decision than to have that decision made for them. We are always happier to see a fighter leave while they are still able to tie their own shoelaces and sign their own name legibly than the alternative. So hopefully this is not goodbye to Kai Kara France for good, but it is at least a see you later. So we will definitely be following up on that. Any news we get about Kaya Kara France's potential future. That being said, I am a little bit shocked by this one here. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of caught me out of nowhere, and based on the track record of this particular situation, I don't think it's going to end very well, but there is always still some granular speck of hope left in the background. We got confirmation yesterday afternoon that Yasmin Lucindo has officially tested hot for misterolone, a anabolic steroid, and has officially been suspended until further notice. The good thing about this, if there is a good thing in a supplement situation here, or in a suspension situation rather, is that they believe it is words. They believe this issue stems from one of two supplements potentially being contaminated, and have sent both of those supplements off to be tested. So if that is the case, we will see an exoneration here and an explanation. But if not, this is going to be an absolute fucking deal breaker, taking all of the wind out of Yasmin Lucindo's sails. So we'll see how that one plays out as it gets a little more information unfolded.
You know, I read about that yesterday, and as I was reading through it, it's always the same fucking excuse. We think it was a tainted supplement. I was the first person to comment on what I read, and I put on there immediately. A tainted supplement is not an excuse when the UFC is willing to provide every stabled fighter with the supplements needed for them, and will actually tailor it to the individual fighter to make sure they're getting the proper supplements to make them perform as best as possible.
Yep.
So at this point, I think the tainted supplement thing needs to be thrown the fuck out. When you know you have access to clean supplements,
For free.
if it comes back as tainted and the UFC gave it to you, okay, yeah, then it's a wash.
Then you can worry. Yep.
But they know they are giving clean supplements to fighters. They have the UFC PI who will specifically tailor it to the individual fighter on what's going to make them perform at the highest level. That is no longer a valid excuse when you have access to a known clean supplement that is tailored to you. At this point, you choosing to make that is just the same as you taking a needle and stick it in your fucking arm. It's no longer a valid excuse in my book. Fuck you, you cheated.
Chose what you were doing. That's right. When the UFC will literally give you any supplements required for your regiment from them, guaranteed clean for free. There's no reason anyone on the UFC roster should be popping hot for any questionable supplements at this point. I agree 100%. If you do, it is 100% on you and no one else.
I honestly think there shouldn't be any vindication. You shouldn't get a shortened term of like 3 months. No. Give those motherfuckers a full year.
Let them serve their full sentence. Yeah, because
full sentence. It's tainted. That's on you.
You took the cheat. So either way,
guess what?
It's your fault.
So you live in Brazil? UFC has a Brazil PI. They will ship it to your door.
Yep.
You live in the States? There's a UFC PI in the States. They will ship it to your door. You live in Europe? There's one there. Same concept. It doesn't matter where the fuck you are in the world. They will ship it to you.
Yep. Meals, supplements, the whole 9 yards. Any fighter on the fucking roster can get any of their nutrition guaranteed clean for free from the UFC. So if you're fucking around, you deserve to find out at this point. I agree.
It's just it's so shady now that people have that opportunity and they do not take what they know is going to be clean and safe.
Right.
It's fucking retarded. At this point, anybody who says it's a tainted supplement, even if it comes back that it is a tainted supplement, fuck you. You cheated. In my book, you have cheated if you are not using a known clean supplement. Like, I get it. Everybody has their own taste. So, well, I know this has been working for me since day one, and that's what's got me here. Right. Yeah, but has it always been safe? And let's say prior to you getting here, were they doing those fucking drug tests? Probably not. So you might have had a tainted supplement for fucking 3-4 months, and then 2 years of it not being tainted as you got into the UFC, and then all of a sudden it pops again because you're choosing your own choosing your own adventure is great. until there is a better way and a known better way, then yes, take the better, smarter way. Because at that point, well, that supplement doesn't give me X, Y, and Z. Well, you obviously didn't need X, Y, and Z because your CPI will look at your body and where your weight should be, what you're looking to do, and they will tailor it to exactly what you're looking for. They have guys who do nothing but that science there. And yes, I said science because that is a fucking science to figure that shit out.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is.
To take your fucking tainted supplements, take your 1 year fucking restriction, and go fuck yourself with your restricted bottle of supplements, you stupid bitch. This one is on you.
Yeah, this one was fucking aggravating because like Yasmin Lucindo is one of those prospects that we've been talking about for a long fucking time since she was first even on the UFC's radar. And once she got into the UFC, she looked fucking great. But now we have to look back at everything she's done, at least through the UFC run, with tinted fucking glasses and wonder and speculate, are any of those wins legit? Are all of those wins legit? Are none of those wins legit?
I
We
think
don't
that's what
know.
irritates me so much about it is because we saw a lot of potential in her, and now knowing that she may have been cheating the whole time and just finally got caught.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of fighters that were found to be cheating and they were able to trail it back and go, yeah, you've been cheating since. And tainted supplement is still cheating, in my opinion. I don't care.
Yep.
I've
Absolutely.
especially once they came out with that program saying, yes, we will supply all fighters with any supplements needed.
Yeah. Once they onboarded Thorne into the PI process or the PI situation,
Yeah.
absolutely.
At that point, you can't point to tainted supplements. Pre that, sure, I would take it. After that, no. And seeing somebody who was a hot prospect get caught for tainted supplements, and I'm using air quotes for you, those of you who are just listening, because I still think it's horseshit.
Well, especially one that we have seen post so much footage themselves of them training at the PI every chance they get the opportunity to. So we know you know how to get there. We know you know how to use the facilities. Why are you still fucking playing games with supplements? It's not a good fucking look for sure. That being said, last one I have got for the news this week is kind of a head scratcher to say the least. Kind of unprompted, as is usually the case, at least lately. Dana White went off on a tangent the other day talking about a story that allegedly never made headlines when it happened, but apparently at one point, right before the Stipe Miocic fight, Francis Ngannou tried to strong-arm Dana in some negotiations, even going so far as to allegedly grab him by his shirt collar and pin him against the wall with a fist to his throat. Allegedly, shortly after this happened, he did the same thing to Hunter Campbell in the hallway shortly after the incident that apparently allegedly happened with Dana White. Dana said that not only is Francis, quote unquote, not a good person, he was also a nightmare to work with and had no issue getting physical with any staff that didn't cater to his massive ego. Now, I'm not in any way, shape, or form going to try and come out here and try and pretend like this is all clear bullshit. This is all just Dana playing games. This is Dana, making shit up, because we don't know. We don't have the receipts. We don't have any kind of video or anything of that. But at the exact same fucking time, the easiest way to tell when Dana White is lying is to watch for his mouth to move, because as soon as it does, there's lies coming out. I don't know how much of this story, if any of this story, is actually true. But Dana White has doubled and tripled down and told the exact same story on 3 different occasions in the last week, talking about Francis Ngannou. Now that Francis Ngannou is out there saying that the biggest fight that the UFC could actually make for the White House card would be Francis Ngannou versus John Jones, which he's not wrong. If you're looking for the biggest fight in the world that every casual on the fucking planet will be waiting to watch, it would be Francis Ngannou versus John Jones at heavyweight. At this point, it doesn't look like that fight will ever come to fruition, regardless of wherever Francis goes, because Dana is just that petty of a little bitch. But at least now we know that Dana is willing to go to story time to discredit anyone who might try to discredit him ahead of time, which doesn't take much when you're talking about Dana. That being said, though, that is all I have got for news this week. Either one of you gentlemen have anything that I might have missed?
No, I'm just glad we got the fuckery out of the way.
Yes. Oh, he's hunting around. So you got something over there? Nope. Okay. All right. He was just hunting around. I wasn't sure if he was reaching for notes or not. All right. Well, that being said, that'll bring us to the point where if you're like some of us and you've been watching combat sports for quite a while, you start to learn what you like to watch and when it comes on and how to watch it. And after so long, you start to develop a set of blinders and you start to lose the punchy kicky forest for the trees, if you will. Luckily for us here on the show, we've got ourselves a bona fide young person out there diligently and ever so delicately fingering the pulse of the MMA world to help keep us abreast of all the names that are going to be names before they are names in a segment that we call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, brother. Oh, as we approach the end of the year, shit's not getting great. We had a pretty decent card last weekend, at least until the last two fights. Those title fights definitely weren't as entertaining as we had hoped they would be, but good on Valentin and Islam for getting themselves the dominant wins they did. He could have made it more entertaining. God damn it! It's the same thing I feel this weekend. There's going to be a lot of fights, but I'm going to be feeling the same way at the end of it. I think that this could have been more entertaining. There's a lot of cans. I think you could throw. Here's some easy ones, right? Like Alex Perez, Nick Dalby, Ryan Loder, just a few guys off the top of the noggin this weekend. Probably could be cut from the UFC at this point. You've got a few fights in general. I was going to put the Spivak and Gaziev fight as like a walrus slap fighty kind of fight, but same thing. Even if they got the short notice replacement, I'm not high on Cortez Acosta. I don't care if he got himself a win in his last fight. I still think that dude's pretty trash. I think that fight's pretty trash and more likely than not going to go to a 15-minute slap fighty decision. I think the same thing with the light heavyweight fight between Ozdemir and Minifield. Minifield is damn sure not good. Like, the dude is pretty garbage. Don't understand why he's still in the UFC at this point, but Ozdemir is the veteran. He's been back and forth his whole career. He's just on the older side of things. I don't think the power is the last thing to go, but I don't think he has the speed or the ability to necessarily go out there and get us a finish. So I kind of think that fight as a whole is going in the garbage. And then you got what I think is the co-main event. Bilal and Ian Gary. Then maybe what people would think is a big name because Ian Gary's been hyped up as a young prospect, and Bilal just lost his championship, right? But he was one of the worst champions that we've had in all retrospect, and we all kind of knew it. And this fight's just going to be an absolute snooze fest, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything either one of these guys are going to do to make it be like, oh, yeah, this is a fight, even. Let alone, hell, yeah, this is a fight. Or, no, there's not. There's not going to be a damn lick of excitement in that one. The shit that I have as contenders, potentially, I like Jack still. I mean, Hermanson is on that old side of things, too. But I think that's more the contender spot. The fight could be exciting. Jack can make things exciting. I got Asuam Obayev as one of my contenders this weekend. I think getting Alex Perez doesn't help with shit because that dude's been on such a horrible losing streak, whatnot. But Almabayev has some ability. He's another one of those grappling fellas, but he could work his way up a little bit. He's shown some talent, even though he lost to Manel Kopp back in March. we'll see if he can make a bounce back. Another fight that I do think could be, I'll put this in the contender spot, even though I like Kyoji. I think Kyoji could be an obvious contender again. The only fucking fight he lost in the UFC the first go around was against DJ. He's a lot older, obviously, but I still think he could have a lot of fun fights getting back in the UFC here. This one could be a snooze fest because of Tagir. It could just be a grappling fuck fest and another boring fight, similar to some of the others I've talked about. But who knows, man? Kyoji has had quite a few finishes throughout his career too. It could be exciting. And he was supposed to debut back in the summer, had a broken rib or whatever. He had to get healthy. So if he is actually like 100% healthy, this could be a fun and entertaining little fight. So I got it kind of on the fence there. The actual exciting shit, like I said, Horiguchi would be a contender, like a contender if he wins this fight this weekend, like has a good performance. Yeah, throw him in there. Yeah, let's see what he can fucking do. Similar to what they tried to do with Asakura, but that one didn't work out. I don't want to put the dude as a contender. Like he's been talked about a lot. I guess I would put him on the fence to be truth. Shaq Rock. I don't know if the dude's actually going to be worth a damn. There's been so many of the what we thought were going to be really damn good fighters coming to the UFC and then shit the bed. This dude, I don't know. He's also in the his 30s already, so you can't say he's like a prospect really. Um, we'll see what he can do, but the one I'm more excited about coming off of the Cage Warriors, Luke Riley, the 26-year-old, and that one could be an exciting fight. Bogdan Grad is at least a caveman that likes to run forward and create chaos, and the 26-year-old that's undefeated has looked good in Cage Warriors. We'll see how he does in his debut in the UFC. I think he's one of the young contenders or would be future contenders here. I look forward to this weekend. You got Oral by Mikdebek Oral by. I'm excited to see what that do. He's been exciting since he came in the UFC. You could also throw him in the contender spot because he's had some losses. He lost to Mateusz Ranchbeski the other year, but that fight was fantastic. That was a fun motherfucking fight. So I think that fight can be entertaining for sure. Like I said, Jack, I think still has some dog in him potentially. So I'm just excited for that fight. Uh Shit, what else can I say here? Um the only other thing I guess is the main event. Like solid. The only other thing. Um, I guess what's his name? Bekzat Almakan taking on Alexandre Taporia. That one maybe as well. I don't think Taporia's brother is worth much of a damn, but Almakan potentially. He knocked out Brad Katona back in May. Did lose his debut, but it was a short notice fight to Umar. And the dude's got 10 knockouts out of his 11 finishes. So, young 28-year-old with a lot of knockout power and bantamweight. I'm excited to see if he knocks out the Topuria brother. So, we'll see how that one shakes out. But obviously, got the main event. I'm excited for Dan. But what kind of Dan are we going to get, man? We know Sarukian's athletic. You know, again, he's a wrestle fucker. And, we know what his game plan is going to be, whether he comes in overweight or whatnot. However, the ways, that's even more of a thing. He comes in overweight for sure. He's doing that on purpose because the kid does not give any fucks. He hasn't ever given a fuck. He hasn't taken shit seriously. You see any of the shit that he posts online, he just likes to brag about the fact the motherfucker's got money. He's a pompous asshole. That's all he is. And he fights like a pussy. And yeah, that's exactly how he's going to fight against Dan because he knows Dan's a fucking madman. So why would he fight Dan? But if he fights Dan, which please God, I mean, MMA gods have been cruel to us this year. We can only hope for give us a little glimpse of something for fuck's sake before Christmas. We'll see because we get a couple weeks. We get the last pay per view of the year. There's nothing great even on that. The two title fights that we're getting, okay, but I love Marab. Him getting in again, but yeah, God damn it, man. We need something. Hopefully the main event turns out for us. It really fucking blows with the early day fights. I got to work all fucking day just like every Saturday, so I'll be rewatching all the fights, trying to keep myself off of the internet so shit doesn't get spoiled for me. Yeah, it's gonna be quite a kick in the sack in one way, and hopefully we don't get kicked in the sack with these fights. We literally have 3 cards left. Like I said, hopefully the MMA gods can sprinkle a little fucking gold upon us. I'd like to hear what you boys got.
All right. You know the drill with me. Generally, these hangover cards are shit. This is not, by far, not the worst hangover card that we've ever had. To be fair, there's some decent fuckery going on. Not so much because of the fighters that are on it, but because of some of the fights that actually have some implications in the division. Other than that, I won't say that they're all going to be great, because they're not. But I do agree with you on quite a few things. Another guy I do need to put on the fence is Nicholas Dolby. He is hit or miss lately. Where for a while he looked like he could go on a tear, but he's gotten his ass beat a couple of times too. So Dolby can kind of go on that hit or miss category. Is he going to be a contender or is he going to be a can? So right now he falls under that contender. I am interested in the Bogdangrad and Luke Riley fight. As you stated it just a second ago, Bogdan is just a go forward and make crazy things happen and see what shit falls out of the sky. And Luke Riley is going to be a new prospect in here to possibly mix it up in featherweight. Oh, I'll say it, the first couple of fights on the card, they can all just go straight to hell. Um, I don't think Alexandre Topuria is as good as his brother. And Almakan, he's got a fucking tall task ahead of him because, well, he is still Ilya's fucking brother, and we seen in his last outing he didn't look too fucking bad. I mean, he was he ran the fucking show. However, he was fighting thickness at the time, so that doesn't say a whole lot. But I mean, when you train with your brother, who is currently one of the baddest motherfuckers in the MMA, I mean, to be honest, I hate to say this, but Tupuria probably right now is the pound for pound king. I don't give a shit what anybody says because, boring ass Russell fucking just doesn't do it for me. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate Greg grappling. I want to put that out there. I love good grappling. Did BJJ myself. So grappling is great, but not in the way that you see some of these champs doing it. And I will specifically point to both champs last week were very boring in their fucking grappling. Very boring. Um, Alex Perez and this is Samabayev, that has that has a really interesting way it can mix up the division in my eyes. Yeah, there's I think 6 and 7 or 7 and 8 or something like that. But that one, I think, depending on how that fight plays out, it could really throw up some chances for some shakeups in the division. Not a whole lot, but I mean it is flyweight, so there's not a whole lot out there. I already touched on Nicholas Dolby and Bogdangrad. I'll say it. Tagir Ulanbekov, I am not a big fan of. He's kind of a boring fighter to me. How he ended up getting a number by his name, I don't know. And seeing somebody like Kyori Horiguchi coming back is fantastic to see him come back to the UFC and hopefully at what is he 30 what is he 34 35 36 somewhere in there I think. I think he's still prime enough, especially at flyweight, where he go. Now the question is he going to have lost a step because he's been away from the UFC or not? We'll find out Saturday. You gotta love the polar bear. Unfortunately, he's out. So you get Shamil and, well, I don't even want to mention the other dude. All I'm gonna say is I pray to God Shamil fucking just blows a hole through him and calls it a fucking day. But that's gonna be also ends up being a wall or slap fight if it gets past the first 3 minutes. I'll say it right now. At welterweight, Jack Hermanson and Murderbeck Orlabai. I'm not a fan of this fight. Orlabai, I have been very interested in watching his career, but he's kind of shat the bed when you thought he shouldn't have. And well, Jack Hermanson, I'll say I just don't like the guy. There's something about him that rubs me the wrong fucking way. And I could say we could go back in his fight history and like and point those things out, but it just doesn't do any good. It's a waste of my fucking time. Another one that can go right in the trash, and why he's still in the UFC, I don't know, is Alonzo Menafield. I really don't think he is. Dude, the best part of him ran down the crack of his mama's ass and onto the fucking carpet. I mean, in fact, in all fairness, Volkan Ozdemir doesn't win this. Volkan Ozdemir should hang them up. Volkan Ozdemir is getting up there in age, but don't get beat by Alonzo Menafield. There's certain things to do when you're getting old. That is not one of them. Okay. Regardless of what the main event is right now, in the co-main with Bilal Muhammad and Machado Gary, this is Gary's chance to get his shit back together. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again. Bilal was never deserving of becoming champion, in my opinion. Am I saying he's a terrible fighter? No. But I don't think he was nowhere near title worthy, which is why he promptly lost it in his first outing. Gary fucking slipped up. And I think the biggest thing where Gary slipped up was he looked past Pratis. And we found out you can't look past Pratis. And if you didn't watch last week, it doesn't matter who you are, Pratis will eventually find you. God, if you didn't watch last week, please go back and watch while he's getting hugged against the fence and his facial expressions of the little love taps that were coming on his face. Fucking priceless. Carlos Pratis. Gotta love him. That's the last fighting nerd to hold down the fort. And he's doing a fantastic job of it, by the way. But I do think this is a spot where Chado Gary is better than Bilal Muhammad. I'll say it. It sounds really fucking weird, but I think he is. Even though he is young. That fight is still better than Volkan Ozdemir and Alonzo Menafield, though. By a long shot. Even though fuck Bilal Muhammad. Also, he's from Chicago, and well, if he's probably a Bears fan, so he can really go eat shit and fall back in it. At one point, I was a fan of Arman Tsarukyan at one point, but he's ended up becoming the sorry piece of shit that stays in a ranking and shouldn't. If you miss weight for a fight and they have to cancel it because you missed weight, you should lose your ranking immediately. Like, not get dropped back, but lose it and have to work your way back up. Dan Hooker finally got his shit back together. He had a couple of back-to-back losses there, one against the champ, and then I forget who the other one was. But he hasn't lost since 2022. So he's on 3 in a row. I mean, Tsarukyan, obviously, probably going to miss weight again. If that's the case, if I'm Dan Hooker, I don't take the fight, so that way they cut Arman Tsarukyan. That would be the smart thing to do. However, Dan, being the fighter he is, he's going to say, fuck him, let me beat his ass. And to be honest, I hope that's the case. I hope he just doesn't get wrestle fucked, which is the only thing Arman Sarukian is good at is wrestling. His wrestling is fucking phenomenal. I'll say it. But that Armenian has no goddamn willpower. He has no fucking tact. He has no respect for what he's doing. If that was the case, he'd make fucking weight. Look, you have a fucking pound allowance. That means you can be 156, but coming in 3 pounds over the 1 pound allowance on your first weigh-in is way too much. I really hope you just had to have a big shit. Maybe that's it. Maybe he fucking needs a big old fucking dookie. I hope he makes weight just so Dan Hooker can beat his ass at this point. Because the amount of disrespect that he's showing the UFC in giving him a main event, that dude deserves to be nowhere near a fucking title fight. In fact, at this point, because he missed the initial weigh-in, even if he makes weight, and even if he wins on top of that, I still don't think he would deserve a title fight, regardless of how he beats Hooker, if that is to happen. At this point, he's going to miss weight. Dan Hooker's probably going to take 30 or 40% of his purse. To be honest, I think it should be a minimum of 50% of your purse if you miss by over fucking a pound and a half. But that's neither here nor there. As a whole, though, I will say this card is much better than a lot of the hangover cards that we have gotten lately. It's just not great. And to be honest, I'm not going to be mad that I miss a good portion of it because I'm going golfing on Sunday. Don't care. It's another one of those. I'll put my picks in, but that's going to be it.
Yeah, I will say, not the worst hangover card we've had this year by any stretch of the imagination. It's not, pay-per-view stacked quality by any stretch either, but like TJ and Chris both mentioned, a lot of the fights on this card at least have divisional implications. At least they affect the rankings in a significant way, one slide or the other, whichever the case may be. That being said, there's a lot of potential why are we doing this on this card. You can basically toss the prelims for the most part right out the fucking window. The vast majority of the prelims don't really mean shit and don't really have a whole lot of potential. Perez versus Almabaez could be interesting. Taporia versus Almacan could be interesting, maybe on both. I don't know that Ismail Nurdiv is going to make the fight interesting enough with Ryan Loder to really be excited about. I agree. Shaq Rock is, man, they picked him up for a very few uses, I believe. They basically needed him as a body, and I think that's what he's going to be here. So I'm not really excited about that fight too much either. I will say I am absolutely 100% more curious about what version of Kyoji Horiguchi shows up on Saturday than any other fight on this card. Any other fight on this goddamn card. Because if the old Kyoji Horiguchi comes back, if he really did rehab the way that he was supposed to, and the old Kyoji comes back, motherfuckers are in serious trouble. The other side of the coin, though, is that if we see Kyoji Horiguchi, who shows up very ring rusted for having been out for a hot fucking minute thanks to injury, Tagir Ulanbekov is not a world beater, but he is well rounded enough that if Kyoji shows up still a step behind, he's gonna get run through, man. Tagir is not a fucking freight train, but an injured Kyoji Horiguchi is not tough to get rid of either. So I am hoping against hope that we see at least some flashes of the old Kyoji out there. I would love to see him come out, just do work and fucking level Tagir, but we'll see. There's a lot that has happened since the last time Horiguchi was in the cage, and hopefully not all of it has taken a little piece from him. We'll see though. I agree completely with TJ. Salsa Boy versus Shamil is not great. The Polar Bear versus Shamil was not going to be great, but it would have been better because Spivak is more well-rounded. Salsa Boy basically has a 2-minute and 43-second fucking gas tank and does not have the capability to handle the rest of the fight intelligently. If Shamil can literally weather the early storm, he can absolutely take this fight. But Shamil is also not the most exciting fighter himself. So I don't think this is, I think they nailed it right on the head. This is going to be a walrus slap fight for fucking sure. For fucking sure. That being said, I am, unlike TJ, I am very curious about Mictabek Oralbai versus Jack Hermanson. Both of those dudes have shown up in the past and made fights fucking spectacular, but both of those dudes have also hit some serious speed bumps along the way in their UFC journey. So there's a chance this could absolutely be a very fucking aggravating and boring fight to sit through. But there is also a chance that this could be the highlight of grappling on the card Saturday as well. So I am curious to see how that one plays out. I agree completely about fucking Menafield. The most exciting thing Alonzo Menafield has done in the UFC was get his entire front fucking tooth set pushed back into his fucking mouth. He doesn't really have highlights to speak of. He's not well-rounded. Like, there's not a lot to get excited about for Alonzo Menafield. But Ozdemir seems to be catching his second win in terms of UFC career. If he can go out there and get Menafield out of the way, which we have seen done before, it is possible. We watched it. If Vulcan can come out there and do that on Saturday, he puts himself in a very good position to just be potentially a couple more wins away from another title shot. But at the same time, like TJ mentioned, if Vulcan Ozdemir comes out and cannot put Alonzo Menafield away, at this point, give them both fucking walking papers. We don't need bodies at 205 that fucking bad to let these guys just keep fucking hanging around and not doing shit. If Ozdemir cannot finish Menafield, cut them both. If he finishes Menafield, cut Menafield and then give him a top 5 guy. But Saturday will tell us a lot about both of those gentlemen, I think. You could say it's out of spite. You could say it's out of a genuine lack of interest. You can call it whatever you want. I give 0 fucks about this co-main event. I really, really fucking do. Chris mentioned it. Bilal should never have even been in the conversation for the title to fucking begin with, let alone disgracing the belt by getting it in a fucking bullshit win and then immediately fucking losing it in his first title defense. Granted, JDM did the same thing against a different caliber fighter, but JDM did the same thing. So obviously he's not going to be remembered as very much of a great champion. But with all the shit that Bilal has talked leading into and then subsequently coming out of his title era, it will be absolutely satisfying if Ian Machado Gary can shut that loudmouth motherfucker up and leave him staring at the fucking lights. I don't know if he's actually got the skills to do that, but god damn it, I'd like to fucking see it. Main event, though. This main event could potentially be one of the single most impactful fights in the UFC in 2025. There is also a genuine chance that this could be 25 minutes of Arman Sarukian wet blanketing Dan Hooker and not letting him do anything, but not doing anything else himself. This could be 25 boring fucking minutes of a main event. And we just had 2 of those last weekend. So we don't need another long 25-minute fucking fight to end our night off. That being said, like TJ mentioned, if Sarukian can't make fucking weight and he still shows up all fucking bloated, I would love nothing more than to see Dan Hooker take that fucking fight anyway, take some of his purse money, and then lay that fat rich cunt the fuck out. I'm done seeing the UFC glaze Arman Sarukian like he did anything but decision his way into forced fucking relevancy and then step on his own dick with cleats anytime he was given an actual opportunity to fucking do something. This being a prime fucking example. He was given a fucking main event after blowing a fucking title fight, and now it looks like he very well could blow this main event after blowing a title fight. So I don't understand why Arman Sarukian is ranked as high as he is. I don't understand why he's getting the fights that he's getting. And I sure as fuck do not understand how Arman Sarukian is getting the hype that he somehow fucking has right now off of the performances that he has given. Yes, he absolutely does have a couple of highlight reel finishes on his resume, but those are old fucking finishes. And when you look back on them, they don't hold up so fucking well with time. Nobody on Arman Sarukian's resume is anything like Dan Hooker. The problem is the Hangman is not only coming off of a severe injury and surgery to his hand, but then after that, spending half of his time doing rehab, half of his fights, or excuse me, half of his time running 1 minute fights on Instagram, which for the record, if you are not following, it has its own Instagram page now. Go fucking follow that page. It is the closest to real street fights in a tournament style bracket that you will find. This is what Street Beefs wish it fucking was. 1 minute fights. So if you're not watching that, go follow that as well. But that being said, Dan Hooker has very clearly had his fucking attention span divided between rehab and then the 1 minute fight situation that's been running almost fucking nonstop for like 6 months now. If Dan Hooker comes in here and overlooks Arman Sarukian, he could absolutely find himself in a whole fucking world of problems real quick that he may not be able to get himself out of, because Dan Hooker is a hell of a fucking striker. He's got some great submissions, but he isn't the strongest grappler, which is kind of fucking ironic. But that's Arman's world. That's where Arman shines. He is one of the most effective wet blankets in the UFC's 155-pound division, period. Nobody likes a wet blanket, but you got to be good at something to get to the UFC. And that's what Arman was good at. So Saturday really in the main event for me is going to come down to, are we going to see Dan Hooker, the angry Dan Hooker that he should be after this asshole potentially misses weight, or are we going to see Dan Hooker, who has been too distracted by all of his extracurricular activities in the last 6 to 8 months, coming in unfocused and letting this fuck weasel steal a W that would rightfully be his? I'm here for it either way. I'm not excited that I have to wake up at 9 o'clock in the fucking morning, but I will be there with angry fucking bells on, watching this shit show slide through and bringing you all the important things you need to know about finish wise.
Yeah, that fucking early start time is some bullshit. Appreciate you boys. Hopefully the fights turn out pretty good for us.
Thank you, sir. Always appreciated. That being said, that will bring us to the point in the show where we have a single segment that requires its own individual disclaimer. So, if you will, Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form support, sponsor, or endorse the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, they let you take and make free accounts over on their website so you can make fantasy style MMA picks just like we do. They even let you make groups. So we made one. We call it I'm No Bookie, all one word, or group 965, however you need to find it. The group is open to the public. You are welcomed and encouraged. Make yourself an account, join the damn group, and then let us know who you are so we can hold your picks accountable with our picks in a segment that we call Tapology with TJ.
Welcome back. And I'll be off next week, which is fucking great. Let's
We'll all
put
be
this
off
this
next
way.
week. Next week is the week off.
Next week is the next week off. That's right, because we have Thanksgiving, and that's perfect. So I will put it this way. Last week we had UFC 322. what was supposed to be a great co-main in Maine, which ended up as Wet Blanket Fest, which, to be fair, I had this weird sneaking suspicion that that shit was going to happen. But the rest of the card, we had finish after finish after finish, which was fucking great. The problem was, I got edged so fucking hard up to the co-main event that as soon as the co-main event happened, immediate blue balls. Blue balls in the main event. The girls never came. The girls never came. If you don't get the movie reference there, we probably can't be friends. Um, Now, on to the important things here. If you're not a member of Tapology, it's because you're a cheap shit. And you know how I know you're a cheap shit? Because you're listening or watching us for free. If you weren't, you'd be a member of the Patreon. If you're going to be a cheap shit, go over to Tapology, create a free account, make some picks, let us know who you are. We'll hold your picks accountable with ours. We'll give you a pat on the back when you do well. We'll tell you when you stomped on your dick or tripped over your vagina or whatever the hell it is you have. Your trunk, maybe your fish tail if you're a fish. You know, maybe you hang out with Kanye West because you're a gay fish. I don't care. Another reference. If you don't get that, then we can't be friends.
That is not funny, and that is not true.
Now, right off the bat here, I'm gonna pat myself on the back because I did fucking work last week. 11 or 10 of fucking 14. Missed one in the first like fucking 12 fights. And then the last two, I called them wrong. I'll eat it on those. I honestly thought Jack Della had a chance of not getting wet blanketed. And I honestly thought that Valentina was going to have a rough time with Wiley, but she just, I'll say it, she fucking outmuscled her. There is a definite difference in power there because her takedowns are not pretty, but they were what it was. So I'll take my 10 to 14 correct. 655 points. I'll say I did squeak by Donna by fucking 25 points. That 25-point difference was the one perfect pick I had on the card, which was great. That was all I fucking needed. It was just enough to squeak by. Now, down at the bottom, still at 50%. Penny, 7 to 14. Nothing to be ashamed about there. If you're 50%, that means you're fucking doing pretty goddamn well. As a whole, the entire group, 50% or better. So if you really do want to put your money where your mouth is, or just see how you stack up against us, come make some picks. If your fucking picks are better than ours, great. If they're not, and I see you trolling around us, you can go fuck yourself. But in the meantime, please come over. Let us know who you are, so that way we can hold you accountable. If you just want to come over and join the group, not tell us who you are, that's fine. But I would highly advise changing your screen name against any screen name that we're going to recognize, because I will call you out if I recognize it. So if you have to put yourself in there as dumbfuck123, by all means, feel free to do so I don't know who you are. Although if somebody does show up like that, I'm just going to call them out anyway. So make sure it's something fucking that I'm just not going to recognize. But now on to the last portion of this, because we are in that first of four card, or yeah, first of four cards for our end of the year Grand Prix fuckery. And I say Grand Prix fuckery. Yeah, I'm not going to call it a Grand Prix with only four fucking cards. Obviously, because I took top spot, I'm sitting in one. Donna's sitting in two. The meter is sitting in three at 605 points. Christian sitting at 595. Vindog sitting at 430. However, who shit the bed the worst? Don in the last spot. Actually, the last two, because he has two fucking counts. He shit the bed on both of them. No, really stomped on his dick there. Now, with all of that being said, the most important thing that we are going to talk about today is the fucking odds. So let's get right into it. I'm going to go the BetMGM route because they've been pretty solid on their odds lately. And there's for the most part, they're all pretty coin flippy. I'm just going to touch on a few here, and then, of course, the co-main, the main, and the one that is just crazily wide odds. We're going to start with Shamrock and fucking Aliyev. Aliyev coming in as a minus 300 favorite. Rock coming in as a plus 240 underdog. Not super wide, but wide enough to where if you did want to make a pick on it, you most definitely could. Another one that's slightly wide here is going to be the Bogdangrad and Luke Riley fight. Riley coming in as the new man on campus, getting that minus 285 nod as the favorite, where Bogdangrad being a plus 230. Obviously, the odds makers understand that Bogdan just kind of goes out there and tries to make things hectic. Good on them for being able to point that out. Another one that I'm going to point out that I said I am not sure on earlier, which is Nicholas Dolby and Said. Yeah, I can't fucking say that goddamn Russian last name. I'm fucking American. I'm not even gonna try. Dolby coming in as a plus 260 underdog. Like I said, he had potential at one point, but I think it may have gone by the wind, which is why he kind of gets a contender spot for me. And Sagid is a minus 325 favorite in that.
Is it Gakmaev?
Huh?
Is it Gakmaev?
You did what's your cock for who, Maev? Exactly. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what his last name is. Little rock reference there. It doesn't fucking matter. The last one I am going to talk about, and this is only because I don't like the guy, and the odds are slightly wide, and that is Jack Hermanson and Oralby. Oralby coming in as a minus 250 favorite over Jack Hermanson as a plus 200 underdog, which makes me a happy camper. They're not super wide, but you know, it's pretty close to coin flippy. Now, the widest odds on the card, Abdul Rahman Yakayev and Rafael Cerqueira. Cerqueira coming in as a plus 850 underdog. Abdul Rahman Yakayev coming in as a minus 1600 favorite.
Bruh.
You want to bet an underdog? That's an underdog to bet. Both of those guys are new to the UFC. There's no telling what's going to fucking happen in that. Obviously, there's a fucking reason behind that, but I didn't do enough delving to figure it out, and I honestly don't care. Until they start showing potential, that's when I'll really start caring. But that's the widest odds on the card. Everything else, like I said, is pretty coin flippy. That includes, and I'm only going to mention this very quickly in passing, absolute coin flip, Shamil and Waldo, coin flip. I'm not even going to give you the fucking odds on it. It's just coin flippy. Last minute coin flippy. Now, the co-main and main event. The co-main with Ian Machado Gary and Bilal Muhammad. Machado Gary coming in as a minus 275 favorite. Bilal Muhammad a plus 225 underdog. I'm not surprised at those. To be honest, I would think of it being more of a coin flip, as much as I hate to say that, because I'm not a fan of Bilal Muhammad. But if they're gonna give Gary the fucking nod, let him give Gary the nod there. This might be a good time for you to go throw a little money on Bilal. God, I hate saying that, and it hurts coming out of my mouth. But you know, if they're giving him an underdog, he's always performed well as the underdog. And that's just historically correct. Main event. This is where I think the odds are fucked right now, and they should be changing, especially knowing that there is a missed weight at this point until he weighs in otherwise. Arman Sarukian, Dan Hooker. Arman Sarukian sitting as a minus 625 favorite over Dan Hooker as a plus 450 underdog. And knowing that Arman is 4 pounds over right now, and may not make weight, that should sway the odds a little bit. So if you're going to throw a bet on Hooker, right now might be the time to do it before the odds change. Because once you make your bet at that odds, they stay at that odds for you. Even if they swing the opposite direction, your plus 450 would still be valid. That's just how that shit works. But I think those are going to tighten up a little bit especially if he doesn't make weight. If he does manage to cut the 3 pounds and make the 1 pound weight allowance, I don't think they'll sway much, but they might, because everybody knows that if you're having a hard time making weight, generally something's wrong. Or if you do make weight in those last minute circumstances, you're usually really fucking screwed at that point, and your body's drained no matter how much fucking water, electrolytes, and all that other shit you boost back into it. So to be honest, those odds are going to change. I don't see them as being wrong, but I also don't see them being that far apart either. I mean, like I said earlier, Hooker's on a 3-fight win streak, and we know the kind of fuckery that Arman Sarukian has been a part of in his last like 3 outings. So, or I shouldn't say 3 outings, his last non-outings within those last 3, because there's been some fuckery of pulling out and things like that. I mean, sometimes you wish somebody would have pulled out, and usually it's called his dad, but that is what it is. But those are the odds that we've got for this week. Now, if you are betting, do not bet the fucking house unless you can afford to bet your house. That's fine. If you lose big, I'm not telling you to go and bet. I am not a financial advisor. In fact, I would highly advise against betting heavily on these things. If you got a spare 10 or 20, you want to throw at something just for shits and giggles, by all means. If this is what you do as a living, why the fuck are you listening to me give odds? Because I am not the fucking guy for it. I just do this as kind of a fun little extra for you guys. But if you do win a lot of money and you want to help us out, go sign up and join the fucking Patreon below. If you have shit to talk, go sign up to the Patreon. Talk shit in the Patreon. That's a great way to do it. I mean, any way it goes, there's only 2 possible outcomes to every fight. Well, 3. But the vast majority of the time it is 2. Either you win, you lose, or you get your money back as a draw. That's all there is to it. But in case, that's all I got this week. We'll see y'all in like 2 weeks, which means you'll see me one more time, and then that'll be the last of me for the rest of the year.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. That being said, that is going to be all we have got for this particular episode. So first and foremost, if you are new here and you enjoyed what we get up to around here, besides everything else, thank you for tuning in. If you liked what you saw here, or if you like what you heard here, we try and do these shows pretty much every Thursday when there are fights to talk about. We try and go live around 9 p.m. Central Standard Time here at youtube.com/@I'mNoJoe. Also live dual streamed over to twitch.tv/I'mNoJoe. Wherever you like watching stuff, we are available on both platforms. Keep the replays up as long as they are allowed, so that way if you missed us live, you can catch that replay just the same. If you missed the replay on purpose, I understand. We also own mirrors. For that reason, the week after we go live in video, we put it up in all audio format on anchor.fm/I'mNoJoe. You can get it there for your podcast consumption platform of choice, Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to shit, you can get it free through there as well. If you really like what we get up to around here, the best way to help us out is patreon.com/I'mNoJoe. For as little as $1 a month, as much as you are comfortable giving, you get access to all the behind the scenes content from here on I'm No Joe. Everything that got us kicked off of OnlyFans as a podcast is there for you to view at your pleasure. The end of every broadcast on this channel starts with your name to let everyone know how fucking badass you are for helping us do what we do. So if you like what we get up to around here and you can't afford to, hop on over on the Patreon, give a little something. There is Patreon exclusive content going over there all the fucking time. If you do like what we get up to, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure your notifications are turned on. Give it a thumbs up. Tell us what you liked about the show. Tell us what you didn't like about the show. We want to hear it. The other side of that coin, though, if you didn't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast that you didn't enjoy? Give it a thumbs down and then go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. That being said, when we wrap things up around here on Thursday night, that is not the end of the fun, because Friday morning, this This gentleman over here and his other half dropped their podcast, the Slow Bacon Contemplate podcast, over there on Spreaker.com. Links to their podcast as well as their social media and their channel over on the I'm No Joe Discord server are all down below. Whether you are watching or listening to this, go click on it and tell them how good those boys are doing over there.
Appreciate you, brother. And of course, the fun always keeps on going. My brother Golf T Vapes has his own YouTube channel, his own socials. You got to make sure you check all of his shit out. Show the brother some love. Golf T Vapes on YouTube. Make sure you check it out. Everything should be in the description for him as well.
Hey, sir. Now, if you didn't know, there is a large gap between this Saturday and the next time you see us in 2 Thursdays. What are you going to do with all that time? Well, your little birdie told me that the meter does many things. So if you go down below, Linktree / the meter does many things, or Linktree / I'm No Joe, that will take you to all of the many things that the meter does do to fill that unwarranted time gap that you have. There's plenty of new content over there. Go check it out. But I hear there might be stuff coming out on Thanksgiving. The little birdie could be wrong though. But you know, you gotta intake something on Thanksgiving, so you may as well intake a little what the meter's putting out there for you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, absolutely. If you find yourself getting around the devil's lettuce and enjoying it, you are definitely going to want to hit the link down in the description for the Meter Does Many Things link tree that will take you to all of the fun concoctions and fuckery that I get up to regarding Satan's jazz cabbage. But that being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode here on the I'm No Joe podcast. If you did not know, keep your eyes peeled on the youtube.com/I'm No Joe shorts tab, because every fight finish this weekend that is worth talking about, I will try to get you some sort of at least picture behind me and tell you what happened, depending on how litigious the fuckers like the UFC cocksuckers have been this last couple of weeks. False copywriting everything. It might take a little bit longer, but trust me, I will find a fucking way and you will know. Fuck you, Dana, and all your cocksucking cronies. That being said, though, that is all we have got for this particular episode. So we will see you all again in 2 weeks, you wonderful folks. But that being said, that is all we've got for this one. So until next time, remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.